T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. Hi, this is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. This is Tristan, he's a Corgi, and this is an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. My phone keeps saying there's a low connection available, and then not, so it was recording, then it was, I don't know what's going on. But I'll tell you, I think there's a lot of things going on around here. I had so much yard work yesterday that I just am like barely functioning even at this hour. I had all kinds of things to plant because it was 45 yesterday. The chance of ticks and snakes being out when it's 45 is pretty low, but it was also raining. So I had a day of rainy yard work trying to get some things in the ground. And then I realized these plants that are behind me that live outside really should get out now. So I had to drag them out because I know I don't want to do it when the you-know-whats are more lively. So I was soaking wet and exhausted at 7 o'clock last night from dealing with plants. So I'm not feeling generous towards them. I'm ready to bite into a big hunk of lettuce this morning or this afternoon for lunch. Anyway, we're here today to talk about flea and tick control, which is a very important thing and something that I think about continuously now from now till June. There's a thing going around that ticks live in leaf litter. That may be true, but I have found them to be in many other places and not so much in the leaf litter. What happens is in the south where it's really hot, they do go in leaf litter because that's one of the places they can get shade in an environment that's not as lush as what I have here. They can hide in the trees, they can hide in bushes. They love yew bushes. There's a couple of yew bushes at work, and if Tristan gets too close, ticks are sitting on his ears when he comes out. So, and they're common in landscape planning. So check your yew bushes. And where else? Well, I always tell people the story of my horse laying in the sun in the pasture around this time of year. Thank God he didn't have a blanket on, and he was next to this little stick sticking up like this. And what I thought were buds on the stick were millions of ticks. Well, hundreds. And they were crawling onto his body. And I had to immediately bring him inside, hose him down with the hottest water he could stand, and peel them off of him, and then spray him with a lot of stuff. So ticks are really problematic, and they do fall out of pine trees in particular. I know for a little bit of time last year when I would go out and lay in my hammock suspended between two hemlocks, I would get up and have 2 or 3 ticks on me. And that made me always go out there and wrap myself in a white sheet from top to bottom so that I could find them, because I don't want to get Lyme disease. That's another whole episode we should talk about. So, and I don't want my dog to either. So what do we do about it? First, I love this company, Cedarside. They make this spray. It also comes in like a little skinny can, sort of this shape of thing, but they don't make those as much anymore. And you can use this. It says do not dilute and not for use on plants. So there are some versions of this that you can use on plants and certainly around your yard. Cedarside has a whole line of products. This is the one you can use to spray on your dog. Do not spray too much though. You want to give him a little spritz on the legs and the bottom, and then use a brush and get that around on him. And it does kill ticks and fleas. It lasts for 2 days maybe, I would say, around here. Definitely get this area right here, the little cheeks and the ears, because that's where the ticks like to go. I personally get really tired of the smell of cedar. It says right here, it's food grade and cosmetic grade ingredients. And it's got a ton of cedar oil in it. And cedar oil is a great thing, as we know. If you have a dog, my friend had a husky. She loved to be outside. She used to take her for long hikes in the woods. The cedar actually smelled good mixed with her coat. And she wasn't a couch potato dog, so she was usually pretty far away from you. And she smelled blatantly cedar pleasant. And the cedar is by far the best thing I have seen to repel and kill ticks and fleas. So I can't recommend it enough, but it's not for everybody. So I have, it's labeled, I put a label on it, Corgi Tick Repel. And this is a mix I made out of half water, half witch hazel, 10 drops of plain geranium, and cedar, each 10 drops, and 1 drop of peppermint. And you can do variations on this. And this works pretty well. I have to admit I don't always have time to make it, nor do I have always a good sprayer. This one's pretty good. And that is safe, and that's a good one to use on yourself, on your pant legs and things, because the smell doesn't last that long. And it doesn't, like bleach out your pant legs or anything like that. So I usually have that around. You'll see all these products I use in a rotation because ticks are so bad here. Here's another product. I got this from my sister called No More Ticks. It smells mostly like citronella, but it has in it cinnamon, citronella, eucalyptus, lavender, catnip, vegetable glycerin, and distilled water. That's it. Oh, and white camphor essential oil. So it's got a variety of things in it. It smells a little, I'm not a big fan of citronella, but it really works well. And if you live in an area where there's a heartworm problem, you got a lot of mosquitoes, and in fact all these things repel mosquitoes, this one's particularly good for the mosquitoes. And that again is called No More Ticks. It's an all-natural product that my sister got a sample of and gave to me, and you can use it on your kids and your dogs, and I do like that about it. However, the one I've been using mostly are these other two. There's a company my sister has on her website called Kin & Kind. There's the company. And this product is called Flea Tick. And it says Dog Body Protect Spray. And it's made with witch hazel and essential oils, including neem and eucalyptus. So it has witch hazel, neem, clove, which you can smell, eucalyptus, and peppermint. I like how this one smells. I think the clove is what makes it smell good. And I might, when I make my own formula, put some clove oil in it this year because I think it works really well. The other great thing about this Kin & Kind product, I mean, some of these, like the citronella one, I literally have to spray it on him every day and sometimes twice a day. If he's like in May, it's going to be really bad. This Kin & Kind product seems to have a bit more of a lasting effect. So, and I can really tell a difference when he needs it on him, like about every 2 days, every other day I put it on him before his long walk. But I also go to a lot of trouble to keep him away from the little shrubbies and crap on the side of the road, because that is where the ticks like to be. They come to the side of the road because things are going by there that they can jump on and get a nice meal. So definitely keep your dog away from the sides of woody trails or the roadsides, especially on the highway. If you ever need to stop when you're traveling and you think your dog needs to pee, be super careful. The ticks are really bad on the sides of the highway, especially throughout Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York State, New Jersey, and also at some of those rest areas. Tons of ticks there too, because there aren't that many hosts coming through the area, so they are very happy to jump on them. The number one product I use in the summer, which works for quite a few days, is rose geranium oil. And I always lose it. This bottle is so plain looking, but I have a hard time keeping track of it because I use it so much. I get this from Eden's Garden. It has to be rose geranium, not roses, not geranium. This is a whole different critter, rose geraniums. And they are far more effective than anything at reducing ticks. I like how it smells. It's got a nice, like, fresh floral scent. It's got a little bit of a spice to it. And what I do with this is put a drop where you would if you were putting on Frontline between his shoulders, another drop here, another drop here, another drop on his fuzz buns. And I might even get some on my fingers and rub it on his cheeks. This stuff is the most effective for tick repellent. I don't know if it kills them, but they do not want to get anywhere near it. So that is the number one thing I use. The smell isn't so bad. It lasts a long time. And a lot of these other ones, because they're oil-based, will leave a little oily spot on your kitchen tile. So I usually spray him on the front porch or on the side deck or someplace like that. You do get the added benefit of it repelling ticks in the area where you're spraying them if you do it like right at the base of your steps on your lawn. So those are an assortment of products I use, and I have to say, there's another whole 3 episodes on the cautions using the other products, the Bravecto, the NexGard, and the Seresto collars. All of those have been proven toxic. All of them have had neurologic effects on dogs. All of them have killed dogs. some more than others. And I just posted around a thing about Bravecto in particular, which now has more products in it that are even more toxic. And there's studies on both sides, so just don't think that because one study says, oh, it kills dogs, and another one says, oh, no, it doesn't. You know what? Do you want to be the one dog that it kills when you use this stuff? I don't want to give it to my dog. And the thing that kills me about this, literally, my neighbor's dog came down with anaplasma, Lyme disease, and Ehrlichia all at once. She was almost dead, laying on the sofa, crying one morning, couldn't get up, ran her to the emergency room, didn't know if she was having a heart attack or a stroke. She had all 3 tick-borne diseases, and it was overwhelming her body, and very likely it came from one tick. So after that, the vet there at the emergency place gave her Bravecto without even telling the mom until she picked her up. So she didn't have a choice. But, when your dog is that sick, I don't think that you are going to be worried about the Bravecto. However, giving the dog the Bravecto while she's that sick, probably a very bad idea. But a year later, the next May or June, and the dog was given this in early July, she was still finding dead ticks on the dog. That's how toxic that stuff is. And that's a little dog this size. So Bravecto, really a terrible choice. Now, I have some friends that try to do all natural things. One of them's a client who goes to Martha's Vineyard, where there's a ton of ticks, high populations of Lyme disease there. Very, very, very toxic environment for your dog. Now, her dog is little and blind now, so she doesn't wander like she used to. But if I had a Labrador, is this spray going to be enough for me to feel really safe? No. So in that case, I would use a Seresto collar. I know lots of people that have used them. Less side effects. You can take it off. Of course, I have friends that say, I don't want to put that on my dog because I don't want to pet him. But they'll give them Bravecto, and all that stuff's coming out through the skin and the hair anyway. But the Seresto collar, I've had a lot of friends use, and I don't hate it as much as the others. I'm sure my sister would say it's just as bad in its own way. But one of the friends had a very bad flea problem, and she was not staying on top of it. Flea combing is not a way to stay on top of fleas, and spraying with something not as good as these. The cedar actually is really good for fleas. And she wasn't using the borax in her house, as we've talked about, to get rid of the fleas. She put the Seresto collar on one dog, and that was enough to get the population of fleas in her house. I mean, they were year-round. It was terrible, under control. So, if you live in an environment like that, at the beach or in a high tick area, the Pine Barrens, further west in Massachusetts, lots of Connecticut, the Connecticut shoreline, the Cape, the Seresto collar may be your best choice. Unless you live in a pretty urban environment, you can keep your dog on concrete. And the other thing to be cautious of is people that treat their lawns with various products. You'll see the little yellow flag that says treated with product, not safe for, have a little picture of a dog and a kid. Don't walk your dog on those lawns, especially on a rainy day when that chemical is liquid form and can get on their paws and they'll lick it. So many of our dogs, especially this orange colored kind of dogs, are very susceptible to poisons from what people put on their lawn chemicals. The good news is there's no ticks in those lawns, but you still want your dog to be okay when he comes off of those lawns. So go for the rose geranium, Eden's Garden. I love this product. It works really well. It wasn't very expensive. Another client was standing in a Walmart store and found some rose geranium there. I have no idea what kind it was. I'm a little suspicious because it was really cheap. I think it was like $6. There's so many other additives that can be in there. It could be more dilute. I just wouldn't trust that product unless I really gave it a good look over and read the ingredients and all of that. Some people are just on such an economy situation where that may be their only option, but she certainly could have bought a good product like this. And, I sell Young Living products. They make a few things for flea and tick repellent. They do not make a rose geranium oil that I found, but nothing's better than plain old rose geranium, I'll tell you. And it smells pleasant, and you don't have to put it all over your dog. You don't have to dilute it in a spray bottle. Some dogs don't like to be sprayed. And I know, like with my friends Huskies, they do not like to be sprayed. Huskies do not like coat management. Let's put it that way. No brushing, no spraying, no washing. They like to be left alone, and their coats are pretty low maintenance, really. If you leave the dog do what it wants. But, you know, the rose geranium might be a good choice if you've got a dog like that who just does not want to be brushed or have you spraying anything on them. So that's what I do. I learned this from a friend of mine who lives in Maryland in a very tick-infested area. She has a pit bull mix, and so she is able to, you know, put that on something and rub it all over the dog because it has a short coat. With Tristan, that would be a little bit more difficult. So remember, Cedarside kills fleas, kills ticks, repels them. If you have a large dog who doesn't mind spraying, like if you had a Newfie or a Pier, this is great stuff. Then there's this other product called No More Ticks. Smells like citronella. Great if you live in a environment with a lot of heartworm and a lot of mosquitoes. Of course, in that case, you're probably using the HeartGuard pill as well because recovering from heartworm can be life-threatening for dogs. You can make your own spray with witch hazel water and an assortment of essential oils. This one has geranium, cedar, peppermint. Lavender is nice to add. Clove is nice to add. Then there's this product my sister has on her website, drjudymorgan.com, Flea and Tick by Kin and Kind. And that has all kinds of good oils in it. Let's see, witch hazel oils of neem, clove, eucalyptus, and peppermint. It says spray on your pup's dry coat weekly from head to tail. Reapply when hiking or hunting or after a bath. Be sure coat is dry for application. That's a key thing. And then my favorite, rose geranium oil. Just put a dab down the middle of your dog's back, rub a little on the cheeks, and it's great. Yeah, it's spring up there. Oh, and the Pomeranians are losing their hair. Well, get your Kin and Kind out and spray those little guys too, because you don't want to get ticks on a Pomeranian. And honestly, as much as they're hairy, and so is Tristan, it's not that hard to find a tick on your dog. So many times I put my hand on them, I go right to the tick. Now, maybe that's because I've been trained to do a lot of healing modalities. I had a vet who used to come here with 2 big Aussies that were black mostly with little white ends. And he would lay on the sofa with one of his dogs, and I would put my hands on, and there'd be 3 ticks under my hands. I mean, he really spent the whole hour dealing with the ticks while I was trying to work on the dogs. So some people do not find them on their dogs, but most people I think do. So, good luck. Be careful out there. It's a scary time of year for a dog person. Right, Tris? We got the Queen's birthday coming up this weekend. Those with British dogs are very excited. Kentucky Derby's coming. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day. Your yard is tick and flea free. Oh, Danny, that's because your yard's under 3 feet of snow most of the winter to kill them. And they just really aren't that bad out in the Rockies. You know, you guys are lucky. They really seem to be really bad on the East Coast. I mean, really bad. Down North Carolina, South Carolina along the water, Virginia along the water, Maryland, the Eastern Shore. I mean, the ticks are really a problem. And I'll never forget seeing this video. A guy was walking with a Newfoundland, and he's a tick researcher on the Cape, and he had a big, like, giant butterfly net. He was just wiping it in the bushes along the side of a pretty nice looking path. It was wide, and hundreds of ticks were in it when he just swiped it across once. And I'm like, I hope you've got something on that Newfoundland, a dog that big, black and hairy. The ticks could be thinking this is the best place to live I've ever seen. It was horrifying. Anyway, everybody have a great day. Stay away from the ticks, and we will be back tomorrow around 9:30, and then again on Sunday, and we'll see you then.